Welcome back. OTB player grades. We're back for another center back. This time, as you can see, we're talking about Davinson Sanchez, a player who can at times be as polarizing to the fans as his actual play on the pitch. I always give Davinson the benefit of the doubt, and I have for a very, very long time. And you've heard me on this channel say over and over again, he's 20. Well, starting last year, I would say, oh, he's only 22, and then later I was like, he's only 23. And now you're going to hear me say, you know what, he's only 24. And you know what, I'm going to stick to it. I think despite everything, despite his errors, I still think he's probably our best option. If we had to start the season tomorrow with the same exact squad, I would prefer to see a Sanchez-Rodon combo than I would like to see a Dyer or Dyer with Toby, or even I'd take a Sanchez with Toby. But I still think Sanchez has a incredibly bright future. I think he's probably one of our fastest defenders, and as you know, in this league, that is important. I think he can be very physical. I think he can also be a smart defender. He's had, especially in the last, I think it was his last match, he had a really really nice saving dive against what would have been a clear goal. I think he started off slow. I don't think he ever got really any consistency under Mourinho. I think Mourinho just kept trying to find his feet with who was his best defensive shape. And I never really thought he got a fair run out. And I think if anybody has a real future as far as being an above average and good defender, it's Davinson Sanchez. Now we're here to grade results and not potential. And despite a few bad matches, I'm going to go ahead and give Davinson Sanchez a C. I don't think he was as bad as people thought. I also don't think he was really that good. I think the situation that we were put into, and I think the overall team performance probably hurt, kind of like really put a focus on his play ability. But I honestly don't think he was that terrible, and I think he actually does have a future. And if it were up to me, I would continue to invest in that future. Andres?
I couldn't agree more, man. I think that it's going to be very interesting to follow his performances for the Copa America as he plays for Colombia, as he has been pretty much a staple of the Colombian team for at least since his Ajax days. You bring up a really, really good point, right? Like, it's almost like harsh of us to go in and like pick out individual players to grade, because so very clearly it's the system that failed Tottenham this year. So that being said, right, and like having understood that wider context, I would probably give Sanchez a C minus, simply because he was a little bit of a headless chicken, regardless of the context. Again, going back to individual performances, he did struggle for the vast majority of the season. This is probably due to him not being a leader in the back four and needing to be next to a leader, while also that leader being Toby Alderweireld, who is also coming up on, kind of like the best part of his career being behind him, right? And then on the other hand, being paired up with Eric Dyer, who we've already reviewed, right? So to your point, his last game against Leicester, I thought Davinson,
that was his best game of the year.
Apart from that penalty, which I don't think was a penalty, right. That was his best game of the year. He completely nullified Jamie Vardy, and Leicester City had a lot of possession in the final third. They weren't able to create that much, though. They were not able to create that many clear-cut chances, and it's because one-on-one, and when balls went over, and that's Leicester's play style, sitting deep and then launching the ball towards Jamie Vardy, Davinson was there 3 times. He won the tackle against Jamie Vardy one-on-one 3 times. And I think that's really impressive, especially given that he had not played for 4 or 5 games prior to that game. So He came in and hit the ground running almost immediately. I think you're right. He is a defender that has a future at Spurs, unlike other defenders that I've talked about, who have seen their best and who have already peaked with Spurs. We've yet to see Davinson's peak. I truly believe that.
And
so
who's his friend? And I say this almost tongue in cheek, but when you look at like player social media, when you look at other videos, you always see like people are obviously there are clear cut little cliques within the Spurs squad, right? And you know who those are. I've never seen him with anybody like outside.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
think
like,
think
about it.
I would imagine that like Lucas and Gio and Lamella, they all have that like LATAM connection.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's like buddy with a ton of people there. It doesn't seem like.
It makes me wonder what his actual future is at Tottenham, to be honest with you. But I think, as for somebody who cost, upwards of 40 million, who wouldn't sell for 20 right now, I think Daniel Levy will say, as long as there's time on his contract, let's see what he can do.
100%.
You know what I mean? So
100%. And I do think that like his pace is key, right? Like that's why he played against Leicester City. It does give Tottenham that flexibility, because if we only really have Rodon, Toby, and 2 slow defenders, that's a huge weakness for our back line. So I'm excited to see what he can do next season.
Same. Let us know what you guys think. Were we too easy on Sanchez? Are you ready to ship him out and move on? Is the experiment, has it gone on too long? Let us know. Like, subscribe, and as always, we'll catch you next time on The Break. Thank ya.